our future.
Every hour, every day, the grapevine keeps buzzing. And together, we are committed to telling the stories that shape our world because your voice is our focus.
Don't forget, our voice matters the most. Let us come together and share our concerns.
Welcome to the locker room, the home of football talk that matters. I am Jerry Arpelhon. Join us every weekday, Monday to Friday at 5 p.m. Nigerian time, as we share the hot takes and hot debates in the exciting world of football. And joining me are the usual suspects, Ikechukwu and Mayowa, as we break down all the hot takes and everything that's happening in the football. Don't just watch football, live it with us. Catch us on the locker room and Voice of the People television at 5 p.m. Nigerian time. And like I always say, if not 20 minutes off, please discuss.
And it's Hakim Ziyech who puts the
VOP TV. Now you have more than.
Every hour, every day, the grapevine keeps buzzing. And together, we are committed to telling the stories that shape our world because your voice is our focus.
Don't forget, our voice matters the most. Let us come together and share our concerns.
Mr. Ofamiloni, and here's to VOP TV. Keep watching, stay tuned, do not touch that dial.
Arararara, my name is Made Kuti and you're watching VOP TV. Keep watching.
Welcome, my name is Zika Davis. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, boys, viewers, everybody, boys and girls. This is VOP TV. Do you know what that means? Voice of the People TV. You don't have a voice, don't come here. You better make sure your voice is heard.
Are you ready for the extraordinary? Something big is happening on your screen. Introducing VOP TV. Now streaming on SLTV channel 264. From breaking news to captivating conversations, news analysis, giving you all sides to the story. We break in-depth discussions on the issues that matter, from politics to sports, entertainment, and lifestyle. VOP TV on SLTV channel 264. Join us as we redefine what television means to you. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
Hello Nigeria, it's another exciting episode of the issues on Voice of the People Television, where we bring you the most important and pressing issues shaping our nation today. I am your host, Nenna Ndomdioto. Today on the issues, we're examining the complexities of Nigeria's politics and governance, from Senate moving to probe inefficiencies in Nigerian railway system, to Ali Ndume criticizing Tinubu and warns of Northern discontent. Also, Northern can reject Sharia Council's calls for Inec chairman removal. And finally, police deny firing gunshot during Makoko demolition protest. Join us as we break down the facts and provide context to help you stay informed. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll dig deeper into these topics. Don't go away. Glad to have you back. Let's dive straight into today's discussion. The Senate has launched a formal investigation into alleged inefficiencies within the Nigerian Railway Corporation amid growing public complaints over safety, delays, and service delivery. The probe follows concerns raised by lawmakers over the declining performance of the rail system despite billions of naira invested in railway modernization over the years. Senators say passengers continue to experience frequent delays, poor customer service, and operational lapses, raising questions about accountability and value for money. The Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, inaugurated an ad hoc committee to carry out a holistic investigation into the railway system. The investigation will examine railway operations, management practices, funding utilization, and maintenance standards with the aim of identifying gaps and recommending reforms. The Senate committee is expected to submit its findings and recommendations within 6 weeks. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by two esteemed guests who will be joining us virtually. We have Comrade Emmanuel Agbogun. He's a public affairs analyst and a member of the Coalition of Civil Society Organizations. Glad to have you join us, Emmanuel.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Viewers at home, and good evening, Nigerians. Happy New Year to you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy New Year to you. Also, we have joining us Dr. Oluwashola Ganiyu. He is a financial expert and a public affairs analyst. Glad to have you join us, Dr. Oluwashola. Okay, let's move on. Let's start with you, Emmanuel, since you're the one who is on ground at the moment. Let's look at it. The Senate has called for an investigation into the inefficiencies in our railway system. I'm sure you know, we've had many issues come up about this railway system. Do you think that this investigation by the Senate, is it a genuine accountability exercise, or is it a reactive political ritual? Or what do you just think about the need or the reason, their stance to probe the railway system?
As a Nigerian, I feel, Uncle, if you can give me a go ahead, can I speak?
Yes, please. I said, Emmanuel, you can speak, and go ahead and speak.
Okay, I thought you interrupted me. Sorry for that. Now, what am I trying to say in essence? The Nigerian Senate, as a matter of fact, is empowered by the Nigerian Constitution to carry out oversight. Oversight in the sense that there must be bills before it, and there must be implementations of laws by way of legislation on their part, and the executive to execute. Now the question is, at what point for some of us did the Nigerian Senate realize that all of an essence, the Nigerian Railway must be investigated? What has necessitated for it? Because if you ask me, the Senate as an organ of government, as an arm of government, as a vital role of governance, ordinarily would have since known that the Nigerian Railways, is going through a lot. Firstly, the appropriation of the coaches that were bought were not with the specifications and standard of what was legislated for. If you agree with me, if you've used the Nigerian Railways from Itape to Warri, you agree with me that majority of the public utility systems like the toilets are not functional. In all of the coaches, you see that the model in which those coaches were bought in, even if we're running on locomotives, the model in which the coaches for passengers.
Okay, we seem to have lost connection with him. Are you on? You can go ahead, please.
Yeah, sorry, wasn't up to the standard that it ought to be. A shift for that. What has been the issue of the management of the railway? The Nigerian Railway Corporation, their maintenance culture is also zero. There's no statistics that they have operated over time that have shown that they have the capacity to even manage the rail lines, not to talk about the coaches and the locomotive itself. You see today you are going on the road, a train that is to run for about 30 or 40, 50 kilometers to another train station to take a break. Interval of those two train stations, like from Warri to Agbo train station, you see that there must be a breakdown on the road. Their schedules for timing are never punctual. And you don't run a railway system like that, for crying out loud. We just procured these coaches just 5 years ago under President Muhammad Buhari's administration. What on earth should be talking about coaches' failure? So that's to tell you that the standard of those engines on the coaches, on the locomotives, are not up to specification for what Nigerians aspired for. Now, who were those persons that actually procured these things? Why are they not being held liable? What investigation is the Senate going to investigate that will show that those coaches, are they the exact coaches that were ordered for? Do they meet the mechanized standards? Is it what they are going to ascertain? And at the end of the day, would somebody be punished for it, or somebody will be held accountable for it? It's so shocking that from Warri to Itape to Edo to Kogi, a train station, a train line that Nigerians have since hoped for is no longer functional. If you talk about Port Harcourt to Maiduguri, that they said would have been upspring a year ago, is also not running. If you talk about Lagos to Kano, it is also not running. So how come do we always enjoy spending our resources and at the end of the day, we do not get results for it? This should be the question of the Nigerian people. And the Nigerian people should also know that the continuous dollar of them not to demand accountability and justice from political leaders, from leaders who hold public office, who you will see today that when they come into public office and when they are in public office, they are more richer than when they got into public office. Was it that the public office emanates money from the chairs and the documents they administrate without having an effect on the Nigerian people? So the high time the Nigerian people leave their dollar side mentality of waiting to watch and lament and begin to demand for accountability, the better for all of us. Anything outside that fact, it goes a long way to show that we are not serious. Now, to cut the long story short on the issue of the Senate, I feel worried that to take the Senate at a time when they had already appropriated monies for maintenance to be carried out on these coaches, it is now time they want to go and investigate why there is a cause. So that shows ordinarily that the committee starting responsibility to oversight the railway and transport ministry of government has obviously not done enough to Nigeria. Why is it that it's at this point in time when the Nigerian railways, despite how it has been built by the Chinese and the loans that they have collected and they have used to mortgage our future, it is now time that they want to go and investigate. And monies, common patrimony, resources of this country will be spent. Monies that will not be used to fix the bad areas in Lagos or the road. Monies that will not also be used to help constituents who deserve some level of empowerment. It is high time we continue to use this word that Nigerians must decide it has come to the time for them to sit on the table and take a decision that will move this country forward for all of us. So once again, I say thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. You've actually spoken very extensively. But before I come back to you, let me get to our other guest who I believe is on. Are you with us, Dr. Ganiyu? Can you unmute your device, please? Okay, let me come back to you, Emmanuel. You know, you've actually mentioned the fact that you feel that the Senate is actually not, at this point, that it's looking like it's kind of way too late for them to be doing this. But like you've mentioned some inefficiencies that have plagued our railway system. But would you want to be specific? What are the inefficiencies that have plagued them? Is it, will you call it, is it a function of management? Or is it a function of funding? We actually know that so much has been spent on this railway system. But do you think it's a function of security? or is it a function of corruption?
Yes, just like what you have said, the morality of doing what is expected becomes the subject matter of reasoning and any form of deposition. When you fail as a people or as a government to do what is expected of you at any level, there is a ripple effect that cannot be hidden. The question that will leave to answer this that you have put before me is to ask, can Malaysia build a rail line in 2 years? Locomotives are failing. Will Ghana build rail line in 2 years? Locomotives are failing. Will Singapore build a rail line in 2 years and the locomotives and the rail lines are in disarray, not meeting to the aims and aspirations of which it was built? These are the bare answers to those questions, because the Nigerian people do not bother, because the institution itself has seen it as an avenue to emasculate whatever interests that abide before them. So these are the bane and the bane and the bane of what the issues are. We can no longer continue to wallow in these mental deficiencies of glutonic stealing. If those railway lines were actually procured at the cost and at the value of what the federal government paid for, we will not be suffering what we are suffering today.
Okay.
That I cannot carry my bags and get to Agbo and enter a train going to Kogi to board a bus to Abuja. Of what benefit is the infrastructure to Nigerian people if the Senate, whether the 9th Senate or the 10th Senate that took part in this appropriation, if it is now time they are waking up to their responsibilities, it goes a long way to show that we are still in this quagmire of negligence and anyhow affairs of the business of governance, which is not ought to be so by any sensitive state.
Okay, thank you very much, Emmanuel. Dr. Ganiyu, can you hear me now?
Very well. Can you hear me too?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure to be here.
Okay, so let me bring you up to speed on our discussion. So we're talking about the Senate probing the inefficiencies of our railway system. And I want to ask you, why, we know that so much has been spent on this railway system, but despite this massive investment in rail infrastructure, why do you think that has not translated into efficient service delivery?
Oh, that's a beautiful question and a brilliant submission from my colleague over there. Right. Like a saying that said, it's better late than never. Right. What they're doing now, it's good for it to be done now. However, will there be transparency? Will there be equity? And will there be consequences at the end of the investigation? Because it will just be a journey in futility if there will be no consequences and there will be nobody to face the music, right? When you look at it, in some several years ago, we saw a lot of mismanagement in that space and a lot of mayhem that actually happened in that space, right? There are several incidents of insecurity in that space. You will remember in 2022, the Abuja Kaduna train attack, which the terrorists bombed the train and killing like 10 people and abducting 62 passengers. That was huge, right? And so that space become a bit a nightmare for people to take train. When we were growing up, railway, train, boarding railway, it's like more safe harbor, because you cannot say an armed robber attack you. No armed robber will come and stop the train unless he wants to substitute his life for it. So we grow up to see that is the more safer place to travel. But the adverse is the case now. You will remember what happened also in 2022 at Ajaokuta train station attack, when 10 people were also killed. right, where 10 people were adopted and one was killed at the Ajaokuta train station in 2022. So those things were happening concurrently. You will also agree with me of the vandalism that happened and the theft, the stealing at the railway when they stole the railway components, such as the tracks, right, the signaling equipment. They were stolen. The question is that were there no surveillance? So how do we monitor these things, right? And which actually disrupt the services. You know, there was a time that the train, the movement between Abuja and Kaduna was stalled for a while, right, because of this vandalization. And we also have a lot of corrupt staff, not even politicians, at the tickets. Those ticket that are those ticket racketeering, right? Those corrupt officials and the security personnel that sell duplicate tickets and deny legitimate passengers from accessing the train, right? Those are another bucket of issues itself. The officials of the at the train station, the way they exploit people, right? And the incident like the one that happened, the Asham derailment that is attributed to the broken point clip, and the unserviceable switch that happened, which caused a lot of injury, right, and raised a lot of safety concern. So if we are going to move away from there, not only investigating it, we must also look at what are the structures in place, right? We do not look at the symptom, we do not look at the causes of it, we look at the symptom, we do not major on the minor and minor on the major. Most of these infrastructures also are outdated. They've been around since the colonial era. Our railway networks are already outdated. Most of the tracks and equipment dating back to the colonial era. You see, this also resulted into frequent. Look at what happened in Lagos too. Right, and you see a lot of, you know, there should be a way that we can track these people that are vandalizing this government property, because actually taxpayers' money, right? When you get to a place in the UK, in UK general and most of the European countries, they are discouraged, you are being discouraged to use your personal cars. Using of train is encouraged, right? Because it saves time, it's secured. You can travel with. You see people living in Kaduna and working in Lagos. They just jump on a train, sleep off, and they wake up, come to their work. Once they finish, they jump the train and go back home. That's how life is being managed, right? They got to work early and close early and go back home. So these are things we should look at it. And this insecurity is more germane, right? Attacks on the train stations, which including kidnapping, bombing, have become increasingly common. And this is the reason why even the airlines are cashing out, because a lot of people are afraid plying the road because they might be kidnapped, and they look at what is the cost benefit analysis. What will it cost me to take a flight or a plane to the next place I'm going? How much am I going to spend that to gather money for hoodlums or bandits, right? These are things that are making people think twice. And poor maintenance, we have a lot of poor maintenance culture. So to investigate this space is much more, it's what is overdue. But the question is that, are we going to follow global best practice when we're investigating it? Number one, is there going to be consequences? Number two, number three, will they give us the report and give us the plan of how to structure that space to make that place a good place for the common Nigeria, and which will also ensure that those space is secured and people can apply it. Not only that, those people that the officials, the corrupt officials, how are they going to deal with them, right? The personnel, what are the things they're going to put there to ensure that those things are, you might not be able to eradicate it, but moving it from 100% to 10%, it makes a whole lot of sense, and the thing we go a long way to make the life of common man better for them to apply the role. And also train frequency have been reduced. We should encourage people to apply that route for us to be able to enjoy better life. My submission on that.
Thank you. You've actually spoken very extensively. And if I hear you correctly, you're saying one of our issues is security, as in the insecurity in the land. Then, of course, you're saying corruption. Of course, you've cited how corrupt officials have usually get to, you know, try to take advantages of the citizens, of the passengers of this train system. And then you also mentioned the lack of infrastructure. But I want to ask you, with all of this, do you think that the Nigerian Railway Corporation, do you think it should remain a government-run corporation, or should it just be concessionalized?
Beautiful questions. There's what we call BPP, that is private-public partnership, right? When you look at in most countries and most places, and we also assume in Nigeria that once it's run by the government, it's everyone done, you can run it anyhow. That is why they're even saying that even the refineries, they should make it a PPP, private-public partnership, so that government gets some investors to invest in the space, so that the government and the private business mogul could manage it together. I think it's high time for us to, yes, to run this kind of space, it costs more, right? It's not what an individual can shoulder, it's only the government can shoulder it. So, but when the government come in alignment with private individual, they can use, they can bring in the private structure, right? So rather than make it a public enterprise, they can make it a parastatus in so much that it becomes a source that generates money for the government. Not only generating money for the government, also you can track the efficiency and effectiveness, and you can also provide security apparatus at that space. Also, planting CCTV in every train, right? Giving surveillance on everywhere, so you can capture. It's just like the same way you can monitor the movement. It's the same way when an airline take off here and is going to Europe, right? And perhaps he has a stopover in Dubai, right? There is a kind of apparatus that monitor how the plane is moving and where it is. Even we can, even literally, if you are using Google Map and you are ordering for a ride, it can tell you how the number of hours is going to take, or minutes it's going to take the ride to get to you. So those things can be brought. This is because it's being run by private people, right? So if it could come in alignment, government with private individual, for them to have an handshake, to structure it in a way that it will be beneficial to the government and also be beneficial to private individual, so that we make the space more economically viable and also a more security viable for people to be able to apply, and also for us to be able to carry out our daily transactions.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Ganiu. But before we move to the next conversation, Emmanuel, I'm sure you're still with us. I wanted to chime into this particular question. Do you think concession is inevitable for this corporation? Emmanuel, are you still with us? Okay, let's move on to the next conversation. Senator Ali Ndume has criticized President Bola Tinubu's leadership style, warning that dissatisfaction in the north could have serious political consequences. Ndume accused the president of surrounding himself with advisors who, according to him, lack a deep understanding of Nigerian politics and grassroots realities. He warned that growing frustration in the north over economic hardship, insecurity, and perceived political exclusion could translate into electoral backlash if not urgently addressed. The senator called on administration to recalibrate its approach, listen more closely to regional concerns, and adopt policies that promote inclusiveness and political balance. Let me come to you, Dr. Ganiyu. What do you make of this Ndume's criticism?
Okay, so before I quickly touch on that spot, you were asking my colleague a question the whole time. Is I will just quickly put a dot on three things. You know that when there is a concession, right, there are what we call PSI, private sector investment. So this concession will naturally attract private investors to fund the infrastructures. And so once they are funding it, it will improve efficiency in that space. And so once it improves efficiency in that space, government body, it will reduce government burden. You see, the private sector bring investment, efficiency comes in, the burden on the government is reduced. But the concern there that people are raising is that it might lead to job insecurity, right? Because they want efficiency and structure the staff there and bring potential job losses, that they will bring in people that will manage the space very well and ensure that people get value for their money. And that space will be fully regulated because there will be transparency and there will be a robust framework to protect stakeholders' interests, because a lot of people will be there and government is on our side to monitor it and to enforce compliance and accountability.
But but isn't that what we need, actually? Isn't that what we need to make the railway system get to be what it should be and to stand at par with other railway systems all over the world?
I agree with you completely. I agree with you. Until the government remove their hands on one or two of these things and allow our private organization to come in, so you will see the whole place getting better and better. Look what is happening now. If not because Dangote have the financial muscle, right, we would have been struggling with refineries, right? It's more or less the only refinery now. So, but if most of our refinery, if it has been sold out or the government partner with private enterprises, so the PSI will come in place. The private sector will bring in the investors. The private investors will come in. They will fund the infrastructure and they will build it to meet right and the global, and they will be able to compete favorably with their contemporary in the global space, correct? And it's also going to improve efficiency. Things will become more better, right? And the burden on the government would have gone. It would have gone. So there will be job insecurity for some people, but some people will get job. And the place will be properly managed. We'll just give the government a strong oversight. Government will monitor it, they will ensure compliance and accountability and ensure that citizens are not exploited. They'll be able to regulate that space. Engaging with employees, passengers and communities to address their concern and make things better. But let me now come back to that
of criticism, yes.
So for Ndume criticism, that is warning that the grumbling in the north will have electoral consequences. You see, one of the things they should know is that Nigeria is a country that we has a lot of people, right? So Nigeria is not meant for only the north, the northern, right? So the northern can grumble. It's just like when we have our past presidents. During the time of Buhari, the Northerners are enjoying. During the time of XYZ president that are from the north, the Northerners were enjoying, right? So it's now they are feeling the heat. We should know that Nigeria is not meant for the north alone, correct? And also, we should not politicize every statement to assume that there are sectorial or sectional issues that they are focusing on some specific places. One thing I should also let you to know, there are pros and cons regarding to Ndume's statement, right? Ndume's statement brings attention to the concern of northern Nigerians, right? In other words, potentially prompting the government to address this issue that don't sideline the Northerners, right? The Northerners are not happy for what is happening. There was a time, I think, when I was working in the North or somewhere many years ago or something, right? And we have to hear that people in Sokoto or some part of the North, they just believe that they are born to rule. They're not just to do any kind of work, just for them to get to government and do a lot of things with public fund, right? And so the warning, though, it serves as a reminder that voters can hold politician accountability through their votes. Yes, this could be general, both in the North, in the Southwest. Look at what happened during the time of the last election when Peter Obi was coming to power. Even in some parts in Lagos, he won, all right? So because the citizens are tired of the ruling party, so they want a change of hands. So because of that, they couldn't. So their cons and their potential pitfall relating to Ndume's statement. The Ndume statement might exacerbate regional divisions. It could reinforce existing tensions. It could just, some people in the North might just started carrying placard. It could bring about division the more. So our leaders should be careful in making statements, and you should take away everything called selfish interest, right, and self-aggrandizement out of a statement, right? And so it could, you see, when there are lack of concrete solutions, look at what we are discussing now. We are not only castigating or criticizing the assembly, we are also telling them solution. These are things they can do that could make this place better, right? The statement does not provide clear alternatives or solutions to address the concern. It was just saying that, oh, the Northerns are grumbling. What are they grumbling for? Oh, the Northerners are not happy. Why are they not happy? And so when you put it into the streamline of decision, are they not happy because of their, is this because they're selfish? Is it because of their self-centered? Or because they discovered that power is gradually drifting from the North, right? Is that why they were happy? Or is it for the purpose of Nigeria to be better off? So his statement, number one, it could trigger a lot of division between the North and the Southern, right? And it's like, if you want to criticize, you bring out some alternative. These are things, but look at this side. So if you remove this side, you might not see it. And when you look at it now, it's overemphasizing on regionalism, right? It's focusing on some specific region grievances, right? It is not, you see, when we talk about Nigeria, Nigeria is bigger than anybody. So for you to carry the burden of Nigeria, you must be able to take into consideration all people's, all sectorial or regional concern, not about the Northerner, what happened to the Southerner, what happened to the Easterner. These are the people that form Nigeria, right? So Ndume might be wrong if the dissatisfaction is not as widespread as he claimed. Right? It's just like someone says that, oh, everybody in Nigeria cannot buy a bottle of Coke. So how truthful it is. So you can make a noise, but if the dissatisfaction is not a widespread claim, so it might not have basis. And the government efforts to address these concerns are sufficient. So we must look at it from the pros and the cons, the benefit of what he's saying and the gaps there, so that we can come into the middle to ensure that we solve the problem.
Okay, thank you very much. But let's still look at this Ndume statement. You know, one of the things he said was that the president is actually not the problem, according to him. He said that he feels the people around the president are the problem, that the president has surrounded himself with people who are not giving him the right advice. And then he also compared the president's time while he was the governor of Lagos State, and now as the president of the nation, He's saying that while he was the president of Lagos State, while he was the governor of Lagos State, he actually surrounded himself with the right counsel, the right advisors, and then now as the president of Nigeria, he's not doing that. What do you think about that? Do you think that what he's saying is actually the truth?
Well, just like what we are saying, the question is that the statements might lack merits. The same thing when President Buhari was there. We were told that his chief of staff does not allow people to access him, correct that, he is surrounded by sacrosancts, right, people that will not give him the right solution or right information, right. I know also that there's one of the danger of a leader. If a leader, you are not careful, you might be surrounded by sycophants, right, that want to tell you what you want to hear, not actually what is paining the people. It can happen to everybody. But when you are coming out with some, I'm not speaking for anybody, but you must come out, the same thing they said to Buhari, the same thing they're saying about Tinubu. If tomorrow Ndume become the president, they'll still say the same thing about him. Correct. So if he is, okay, look at Buhari. Before he joined the president team, he was knocking him by the head. He said he's not doing well, he's one of the worst person and every other thing. He joined the team, he has swallowed his pride. Do you get it? It depends on who plays the pipers, dictates the tune, right? It might be right in some specific places and it might be wrong, but we need to come to a middle point that what should we do? Because he is there now, he's surrounded by sycophants, right? And that is, as I say, it lacks grassroots.
Okay, we seem to have lost connection with our guest.
He's reaching out to them. Some people will say he's not reaching out to them. Can you hear me?
Yes, you can go ahead.
Okay, some people will say he's reaching out to them. Some people will say he's not reaching out to them. So lacking of grassroots connection is also relative, right? Advisors might not be in touch with everyday Nigeria struggles, right? It depends on who is giving you the information, right? I'm not saying but the statement is relative. Depending, like when you are coming up with a statement, you might come up with facts. Right, to be able to show, okay, look at what Buhari pastor, look at someone that wrote a book and said that, there are some people that form a cabal around him, there are some people that the source of XYZ, you will always see this coming into play. But the question is that how do we solve it, right? How do
okay.
How do we ensure that the government, the president is accessible and he can feel the heat and the pain of average Nigerian?
Okay, thank you very much. Let's move on to our last conversation for tonight. The Northern Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, has rejected calls for the removal of the Inec chairman, Professor Joash Amopito, warning against politicizing religion and undermining democratic institutions. Northern CAN stressed that electoral credibility should be addressed through lawful and constitutional means, not religious sentiment. It cautioned that using religion as a basis for questioning the integrity of public office holders was dangerous and capable of inflaming sectarian tensions. The association disclosed that Professor Mopito, like every Nigerian, has a constitutional right to freedom of religion, and expressing concern about challenges faced by one's faith does not automatically amount to bias or disqualification from public service. The religious body's position is on the backdrop of the recent call by the Supreme Council for Sharia in Nigeria for the immediate removal of the Inec chairman, insisting that his continued stay in office poses a serious threat to the credibility of Nigeria's democratic process. The council said Muslims across the country would not recognize or legitimize any election conducted under the leadership of an Inec chairman whose integrity is under a cloud. The council's demand was anchored in what it said is the Inec chairman's questionable antecedents, particularly a legal brief he authored which alleged the existence of a Christian genocide in Nigeria. Let me come to you, Dr. Ganiyu. You know, first, what do you make of the Sharia Council's call for the removal of Amopiton before we now move to what Northern Khan is saying and all of that?
That's a brilliant question. We might politicize a lot of things, and also we might a bit put Nigeria into a sectorial bucket to ensure that people does not get. This man is not the first person. We have a lot of chairman. Why didn't they talk when Atairu Jega was a chairman from 2010 to 2015, right? Atairu Jega, it was there, right? We also have Amina Zakari, right? In 2015, the acting chairman, she was a Muslim, right? Right from 2015 to 2025, it was also appointed by President Buhari. He was a Muslim too. He served 10 years. So why are they crying foul at this point in time? And when you look at people that also hold strategic position in Nigeria, the president and his vice, they are Muslims. Right? The head of armed forces, that the chief of defense, General Abubakar Shehu, is a Muslim, right? The inspector general of police, so we have people that are before the Betugo comes in, the former inspector general of police, he was a Muslim. Nobody was crying foul there. So why are they making noise now, right? To be able to, we should not politicize things, right? And we must not create a religious brouhaha. I think one of their concern is one of the statements that the current chairman, Amupiton, when he wrote to US before he became the chairman, as the right to be had, right? And which is a right statement. So if you are not careful, this issue has a political implications, right? The controversies highlighted the challenges of balanced religious representations in the key government positions. Right? We must be able to balance it. Nigeria is not a Sharia country. Right? Nigeria is not a Muslim country. We must be able to balance it to ensure that we all have the share, our voice are being heard, right, in the country, right? It may also lead to increased scrutiny of appointment, and this needs more inclusiveness because all these things are there, right? The situation could escalate tensions. Nigeria is already tensioned. Right? We don't need any statement that can also create a lot of mayhem in the country. This statement could escalate tensions between different religious groups and potentially affecting the country, the national unity of the country. Right? The debate may reinforce existing social divisions and mistrust among each other. Right? And this could also lead to increased social unrest if it's not properly managed. We need to be very careful with this because it has religious implications. The situation could underscore the complex relationship between the religious bodies and politics in Nigeria. And this should not be. This is Nigeria, a one country, right? It's not a Sharia country. It's not a Christian country. It's Nigeria. Nigeria means the combination of religious. That is what makes us as a country. That was when the ruling party is coming on board. That's why a lot of people spoke against us. Oh, you cannot have Muslim. It should be a Muslim and a Christian, right? To be able to balance it because it's Nigeria. We all own Nigeria. It's our country, right? It raises question about the role of religious leaders and organizations in shaping the national discourse. And this controversy may lead to increased calls for greater separation among the religious, but among Nigerians. So we must be able to stop this earlier on so that we don't create a monster that will be difficult for us to handle.
Okay, so you're actually saying that there's no need for this, their call for the removal of the Inec chairman. And of course, they're taking the same stance with Northern Khan which has actually said that he is a Nigerian and he's allowed to have his opinion, and of course also allowed to hold public office, any public office position, any public position that he wants to, despite what he had written some years back as a result of his Christianity. So you're actually taking that stance, right? Before we draw the curtains for tonight.
Was there a call to remove Jega, Atayiru Jega, when he was in office between 2010 to 2015? There was no call to remove him. When Mahmoud Yakubu, when he was on board between 2015 to 2025, he stood there 10 years. There was no call to remove him. So why were we called to remove him now? Right?
Okay.
Tomorrow they will come to remove Egbetoko. Tomorrow they will come to remove EFCC chairman and put Northerners there. So we must be able to balance it until we see ourselves as Nigerian. Not that I'm a Northerner, a Southerner, or an Easterner. We are Nigerian.
Okay,
then we can take this country to the next level.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ganiyu, for being a part of the issues. And also a very big thank you to Comrade Emmanuel, who joined us earlier on. That's all we have for today's episode of The Issues. We explored the challenges facing Nigeria's politics and governance. Thank you for being a part of it. Don't forget to tune in next time for more in-depth analysis and discussion. Follow us on social media to stay up to date on the latest news and insights. Until next time, stay informed. I am Nnenna Ndomdioto, and this has been The Issues on Voice of the People Television, where the future faces forward. Please don't forget to stay tuned for Hashtag with Vivian by 8 p.m. Don't go away.
VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
We encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at VOP TV Live. Visit our website www.vop.tv